Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. To show you 3 ways to kickstart a React project, also the deployment of it. Okay, so again, thing to always keep in mind is that a React application is a front-end application. So if you have a back-end application made with Express or in some other language, other than JavaScript, that's a separate application that requires a separate deployment. I mean, it is possible to create it all under one app, but typically, or what I'd recommend is 2 separate projects. Think of them as you have your back end and you have your front end, and they're 2 separate things that require 2 separate deployments. So how do you build your back end? I'm not getting into in this video. You probably would deploy that via Heroku if we're talking about like a hobby project. What I'm focusing on here is React, and I'm going to show you 3 ways to kickstart your React project with sort of automated starter tools that allow you to have a dev environment and all this stuff, and then I will show you the result of the build command for each one. So the first one I'm going to show you is the standard create React app, which takes, and the reason why there's alternatives is because, as you'll see, create React app pretty much gives you everything you need. It sets everything up for testing, whatnot. It's great when you're spinning up sort of a higher level React project because it has everything in there, but it also ends up taking a lot more space. I think it's going to end up being 100 megs once the command is complete, and it'll eat up a lot of memory when you're running in the development server. But basically, how would you do that? You would use the command npx. Npx allows you to run a node script one time without you having to actually install it on your machine. So we're basically running the create React app script, and then you put in what the name of your project is. So we'll just call this project 1. Okay, and if I hit this, what it's going to do is going to basically run the create React app script once, which will then begin building out a project folder over here. So it's going to take a second. I'll just wait for it to get started, and then we'll kind of move on while that does its thing. And see, there it goes. So it's starting to download and do all the stuff that it needs to build this project. So eventually you'll see a folder over here pop up for project 1, but I'm going to let it take its time. That's going to take like 5 minutes, so I might end up pausing it before, or pausing the recording before we get there. Okay, in the meantime, the second one I'm going to show you is a script created by a colleague of mine, Arthur Bernier Jr., who's also the author of the front-end framework Kofu.js, which is also found on npm. So let me just go with that, which is kind of a, basically brings in a lot of the cool parts of Vue and React into one framework. So if you like Vue and you like React, you might want to go check out Kofu. Okay, so if you guys want to check that out, just bring it up. There it is. But I'm not going to get into that today. Maybe in a future episode. But this is his Big-Poppa-Code React starter. Okay, what this is, it's essentially a create React app. So what you would do is you would install it, npm ig Big-Poppa-Code React starter, and we'll spin up a project with this. We just use the command let's code whenever you want to create a new React project. Okay, and then after we're done with that one, I will show you one that I created. I think both the create React app and the Big-Poppa-Code React starter both use, pretty sure they both use Webpack for bundling purposes. I use Parcel just because it's an easier setup. Because if you're a configured Webpack, it takes a while. Okay, and that's just called Merced-Reactor. Okay, and that one you can also do an npx on. Okay, so I'll walk you through how to use that one as well. So by the end of this video, you'll see you'll have found 3 different ways to start up a React project, and yeah. Okay, so I'm going to pause this while create React app installs. This does take quite a while. It's another reason why it's nice to have the other 2, because it takes a while. But you can see that we have our project 1 here folder. We have a package.json, and now it's going in there and installing all the things and running the scripts, so we'll let it do that. So right now it's 17:03, just so we can get an idea of how long this ends up taking. It's 17:03 now. Okay, so that just finished. So that took about another 5 minutes. So let's see here. So 395 seconds overall. But see, that takes a while to spin up with the Create React app. And let's take a look at the size of this whole thing just to start out with. So let me go open this. Open containing folder. Let's see how big this folder is. Project. Properties. And yeah, so it's overall 132 megs. Okay, 130.2 megs. That's before actually doing any kind of development. Okay, so it's pretty robust. Okay, because when you go in here, you see like you have not only your app.js, but you also have your test.js. So if you wanted to write scripts, if you want to do tests, and there's all sorts of stuff going on here. So basically, oh, is it still going? I guess it's not done yet. Let's see, I didn't actually like hit it the second time, did I? My packages might take a couple minutes. Installing React. No, it's still going. It's still going. It's not done yet. I thought it was done. Okay. But as you can see, there's a lot of stuff there, and already it's 130 megs just out of the get-go. Okay, with Create React app. Again, worth it if you're going to use all that stuff. Okay, and again, you have your normal scripts. So pretty much all of them are going to have similar scripts, but Create React app has a start script. So generally, you develop with the start script, and then you'll build your final product. So when you're done, you'll use the build to actually build the distribution folder. And when you run that script, it's going to end up building a build folder. We'll come back to that later. Is this really still going? That is seriously still going. Okay. So I will pause and give it another minute or two. Okay, so now it's finished. So we started around, I think it was like 03. So yeah, it took about 10 minutes for this to complete all of this. Okay, and then again here, it just gives you the commands. Npm start runs the development server. Npm Run Build will build the files for production. Cool. So now we see how Create React app takes. Next we'll try Big-Poppa-Code. So let's see here. cd, well actually it's just let's code. The command's just let's code. Okay, and then here you put in, you just say yes, I'm getting started. So yep. Project name, we're gonna call this project 2. Okay, and let's see how long this takes. So 17:14 is kind of our start time. Okay. Okay, Big-Poppa-Code, let's just generate some code. Okay, I'm gonna pause it, and when it's done, we'll take a look at how long that took and the size of the files. Actually, real quick, let's take another look at how big our well, that's wrong. I'll just reopen this folder. Okay, so I'm gonna go back over here, open containing folder. Well, that does its thing. Let's take a look at what the Create React app, the actual end size of the folder. So let's see here. Before it was 130, but it wasn't finished yet. So let's see what it is after it did finish. That's a lot of individual items. It's taking a while to go through all that. Well, I'll pause this for a second. I'll come back when both these things are finished. Okie dokie. And let's see here. So the final count is 153 megs for Create React app. Okay, so it was like about a little over 10 minutes to start up the app to get the script to going 153 megs in files. Let's take a look at how Big-Poppa is doing. It's been a few minutes. Again, we started around 17:14. Cool. So it's really more like 5:14. So it's only been a few minutes. We'll come back when this is finished. Setting everything up. Okay, looks like it just wrapped up. So that took about 4 minutes versus Create React Apps 10 minutes. Okay, so that was a bit faster. Okay, and let's take a look at the size of the package. So this is the project 2 folder. Okay, so project 2, let's see how many files. How big does it get for Big-Poppa-Code? So here it's queuing up. Let's see. Going through it a lot faster. Okay, there we're at 128. So again, 150 megs for Create React App, 128 megs for Big-Poppa-Code. Okay, so now let's do Merced-Reactor. Okay, so that one, let's go back to our terminal. The way this works is going to be also through npx. So it's npx Merced-Reactor. Okay, then you put your name of the project, so project 3. And I basically what this does, it just clones 2 templates that I made. I have a JavaScript version and a TypeScript version of a React template. Okay, so in that case, what you do is you either type in JS or TS. Okay, so npx Reactor project JavaScript version, so project 3 JS. I will hit enter, and this actually should at least clone the project pretty quickly. So let's see here. Good, project's cloned. See, that only took a second. The reason is they didn't install the dependencies, so it's just cloning the project. So now we have the CD into project 3. Okay, and then we'll do the actual install with an npmi, and that'll install all the dependencies. Okay, and while that does that, let's take a look at the Big-Poppa-Code setup. Okay, so in this one, you don't have all that weird testing stuff. Let's see, we have a scripts, so let's go to our package.json. Okay, here we have a whole bunch of scripts right here. But really all that matters is that you do like npm run dev, which runs a dev script and gets your dev server going. And then when you want to build it, you'll do npm run build. And I think it builds everything onto this existing public folder. So when you're done, you just deploy. You can just grab this public folder and deploy it somewhere. While in Create React App, it makes a build folder in here, and you can just go deploy that wherever once you run the build command. Okay, well, let's see here. Let's see here. When I'm done, it'll give us a time because it's only going to do this one install. So the timestamp at the end should be pretty clear about how long it took. Okay, so that finished, and that took 102 seconds. So less than 2 minutes, not bad. Okay, so overall that was pretty quick. Okay, let's see how big it is though. So let's go over here, open the project folder, properties, and then this one clocks in at 96.5 megs, so smaller file size. Okay, so the point is your different options, they all work. Like again, the extra space isn't necessarily unwarranted. You're getting extra tools in each one. Okay, so like for example, so it just depends which one you prefer. If you're really trying to spin up a project really quick and just do some practice React development, probably using Merced-Reactor is going to be the fastest way to spin up a project. But they all pretty much have the same thing. They all have a dev environment, and then you build, because that's how React works. So in that case, now let's test the command for each one. So since I already have Merced-Reactor, the project 3 on the terminal, I'll run its build command, npm run build. So even though we haven't actually developed anything, you would run npm run build, and it begins building. And this is essentially what the other 2 will do as well, except this one is built with Parcel, so by default it builds it into a folder called dist for distribution. So when it's done running this command, there'll be a folder here called dist, and there it is, so dist. And then that will have like the index.html and the JavaScript file, all the stuff you need that you would then go out and deploy. Okay, and you can easily just deploy that. You can even deploy that easily with like GitHub Pages or Heroku. You can just use that folder and watch my video on 5 ways to deploy a static website. Okay, but usually the build thing takes a few minutes for each one. Okay, I will just pause this. Okay, that built it pretty quickly because, again, there wasn't much to build because I hadn't actually made any changes. So it took about 54 seconds. That's in this distribution folder. Okay, and see, these are the files that I ended up building and how long it took to build each one. Cool. So now let's cd. Let's do project 2, which is Big-Poppa-Code. Okay, and then we'll do Npm Run Build. Okay, let's see where that ends up. So I'll give it some time. Okay, so that one finished pretty quickly as well, around 42 seconds it took to build. Now let's see where it built it out to. Looks like it just probably built it onto this public folder. And let's see here. And looks like it builds it with its own built-in server, which is a nice touch. That it certainly makes it easier if you want to deploy to Heroku, because then you can literally just run this server.js, and that would work pretty straightforward. Yeah, but yeah, that's it. That's all it does. It just runs this index file. So you would just deploy this public folder. Although we'll test that out in Netlify in a bit. And then the last one, create React app. Let's go into that one. CD. CD, and then going to project 1. And then let's do Npm Run Build here. And see what we get built. This one, it should create a build folder, if I remember correctly. So when this is done, we'll have a folder called build here with the final build. Okay. Here we go. So that's finished deploying. How long did that take? Give me a final time. Didn't take that long. Had like a minute or two. But let's see here. Project 1. Here's the build folder. So there's the folder it created. Okay, and basically it's just a folder of static assets. So the big difference between Create React App and Merced-Reactor versus Big-Poppa-Code. Big-Poppa-Code is the only one that actually has a server already built in that you could technically use, which is useful for the purposes of like Heroku. Let's see what happens when we try to deploy all 3 of these to Netlify. Okay, because usually once you've built it, deploying to Netlify is really super easy. So let's head over to Netlify. One of my favorite things in the world. Netlify, I love you. It is rotating the logo loading thing. Okay. Let me check. I think some of these recent deploys are little test projects I did from other videos, so I should probably clean some of these up. Yeah, let's clean some of this up. Site settings. Delete the site. Yep. Hungry Albatani 4BE 9FC. Deleted. Let's delete this one. Save myself some time. I'll just copy this. Okay. Also, just deleting these so that way you can see how easy it is to delete these if you need to ever delete any of your projects. Ta-da! Those are deleted. Now I want to create a new site. I literally just scroll down to the list of all my sites and see there's this little box here. Okay, now where's that folder I had? Oh, I guess I closed it. So let me go over here. Open containing folder. Okay, so I have my 3 projects. I'm going to head over to Netlify. first we'll do project 1. That's the create React app thing. And again, these are all defaults, so I have not edited any of these. So these are all build versions of the default project, so they're not going to look fancy. But I can literally just drag the build folder right onto Netlify, and it should deploy. Give it a second, and it's deployed. So let me just click here, and see it's the default React app. Cool. So it's that easy to deploy once you've built it. That's the benefit of the build command. It builds just a nice static version of your site, so you can just ship right out. Okay, let's go to the next one. Back to my thing. Back to my folders. Let's try the Big-Poppa-Code one, project 2, which should be that public folder. Actually, I haven't tried this one out before, so let's see how this goes. Public, drop it. Wait for it to deploy, and it's deployed. Let's see how it looks. And it works. See, there's the default project for the Big-Poppa-Code starter. So it works. See, once it's built, you just literally drop it in Netlify. And last one but not least, the Merced-Reactor one. Okay, so scroll all the way down to the bottom here. We go over here. Let's move into project 3. Okay. And just drag the dist folder. And blop. And ta-da, there's sort of the default for that. So it's really easy, okay? It's really easy to spin up a new React project. You have some options, as I just showed you. And it's really easy to deploy when you're done with it using Netlify. Now, of course, if you have a backend and you're only allowing the origin, make sure that you grab the URL for your Netlify app at the end and add it to your whitelist for your backend to be able to allow the API to read from your app. But aside from that, you're good to go. So my name is Alex Merced from alexmerced.com. Hopefully this helped you understand how to start and finish a React project a little bit better. Have a great day and enjoy.